Good evening. So we would like to invite Krzysztof to uh, address the audience. Please come.
I have in my hands this book of mine, Gini Pulingu. I don't understand Sinhala language, but I can hear the music of this language, which sounds for me like the language for my childhood, like a name for the bird, Gini Pulingu. Also, I know the meaning of it is different. But for me, what happens today with this project we launched almost a year ago when I visited Colombo for the discussion with literary circles and writers and translators in spring this year. It was just a dream that we started to talk about translating ourselves into our languages between Poland and Sri Lanka, establish a bridge between our cultures. And at that time, for me, it was, like something very difficult to be put into the practice. But after a few months, we have a book already, and we can gather together in National Library to enjoy this publishing. So for me, it is like a dream coming to the truth, and for me also, it is a beginning of a journey we start together with building this bridge. Uh, that there will be more books translated that, on both languages. That some of you, both writers and translators, will also visit Poland, and we can have an encounter, a book launch in Polish National Library in Warsaw, also in occasion with book publishing. That would be another dream I have. But I want to say also a few words about the philosophy of this book, the mystery of this poetry I'm writing. And you were reading and translating it in so deep, profound way that from the very beginning I had a feeling that you understand me very well, even better, sometimes better than Polish readers. And this is another mystery for me, that touching this form of poems, uh, of course, it is linked to the Japanese tradition of haiga and haiku. Haiga is, like bridging word with a picture, with an image, as it is in my book, Bridging Photography with Poem. But before I started to write, I didn't know about haiku tradition or haiga tradition. I was a young man, and my first poems written to my mother were in a gnomic form of short poems. And at that time, I didn't know about haiku tradition as well. So I believe that behind that tradition, it's something more archetypical, which you in the East, in Southeastern Asia, understand profoundly, and that could be the language of communication between us, and your reading of that could be more deeper than in the West because of your roots and of your own literary tradition and because of your spiritual culture, which is, as far as I know, and become more and more involved in this culture. I understand that you still preserve something what we lost in the West, that we lost this link between culture and spirituality, between literature and the spiritual dimension of our life. And that's what brings me more and more here to Sri Lanka, uh, because it's my self-discovery journey also, to know more about this another dimension of our life, both in culture but also in the daily life, in our consciousness and so on. As you see, I'm a small man from small country writing small poems. And who cares? We stop to care about small things. We believe that the value is in big things, in big countries, big words, big numbers, big formats, big richness. But as far as I understand, our bridge and our mutual understanding is about to understand the power of small things. The power of small things, which means things who are more profoundly spiritual. Because when you extend it to bigger and bigger, you are paid a price for that. You are losing something. And the most strength and most powerful light is from small things. And that was a conscious decision also in my life, to focus on small things, details, crumbs, sparks, everything what still can prevent us from being taken from this spiritual dimension and uproot us from the belonging of more holistic attitude to life. So that's also my gratefulness to you, that you had this courage. And now I'm thinking about my friends, about Pramudita Pashinge, and about my translators, and the whole team, and my publisher also, that you did have courage to invest in a risk of doing small things, publishing small poems, organizing small meetings, and bridging with a small country, and so on and so on. And I think this is a value we can give or bring back to the world, both sides, West and East, that this is something what will probably solve many of our problems in the contemporary world. Writing a small poem is focusing on the essence of things. It is more about resignation, about minimalistic attitude, about not claiming to have too much, too many words, too many explanations, too many things around. We are overwhelmed with words in contemporary world. We are speaking and speaking more and more, and there is less and less content in it. There is less and less sense in these words. So let's care about small things, also in literature. Let's care about focusing on details and some treasures, gems we can find in language in a small form of poetry. That's how I see my poems, from that book. I consciously call them the tiny poems, because these fires they can keep, the fireworks couldn't survive in a bigger forms. The more smaller and more minimalistic form you have, and you are able to express your ideas and transmit your spirit into it, the light could be stronger and could be more powerful. That's also a message from that book. So, of course, I read the publishing of this book as the beginning of our common journey, that being here in Colombo, being here in Gampaha, we are constantly thinking about what to do next, what will be the next step. And that's also what I love, that you do first step, but you continue, you find the way out of that you don't give up with other steps, other endeavors which are before us. So I will come back again soon to Sri Lanka in March, in spring. I will bring more writers from Central Europe for the literary festival in Gampaha, but we will have also our flying literary cafe in Gampaha in Colombo. I already invite you for that. And so it will be next step, to bring more writers from my part of the world, the Central Eastern Europe, which is another bridge, I think, between us, that our historical fates are very close and familiar to each other, that we can understand not being colonizers, not being imperial powers, again, not being big, but being a small entities in history, so we can communicate better and bring some new ideas and new values to the world together. So this next step will be a continuation of the journey, and the next step, I imagine, will be also in Poland, in other places in Central Europe, that more writers from Sri Lanka will be translated from Sinhala, Tamil languages to Polish and other Central European languages. And that's what we should continue. And I'm very grateful for your hospitality, for your understanding, and for your courage to invest in small. Thank you very much.